Welcome to Flesh and Pod, a flesh and blood podcast, breaking down weekly news and notes from the tournament scene, community drama, game strategy, and more. And now, here are your hosts, Derek and Logan.
Hello, and welcome to episode 85 of Flesh and Pod. I did that on purpose because on the YouTube videos, I put like the opening now. So it's like 28 seconds or whatever of time that is covered. So I like at 2 seconds, I can drop the bomb now. It's fantastic.
You're speeding it up. You know what happened? I'm just going to throw this out here. You and I started a podcast where you're not allowed to say the F-bomb nearly as much. And I think that this is like you unleashing your pent up frustrations. Yeah,
that could definitely be the case as we record the Clash Ground after. Typically we record this, and then I'm always feeling a little pent up afterwards because we don't do it on the same day necessarily. Also, if you'd like to like and subscribe to Clash Ground pod, it's you just search for it in all of your podcast apps if you're interested in listening to us bullshit about Alpha Clash. Great, I think it's fun. As far as the game goes,
we're taking this free ad, baby, because it's ours.
Bitch, this is our ad. I am fucking stoked for this ad because this is my favorite ad read I've ever done because it's for me. But yeah, so it's if you ever want to follow us over there, feel free. More than welcome to have you. But with me as always is the walking punchline, Derek Oswald. Derek, do I want to know?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then tell me.
So Wednesday is when my LGS does their armories, and I was very excited. I am happy to report that my wife had surgery on Wednesday, so I didn't get to go.
God damn it. Why? Okay.
I have. All right. So I have been jamming some Talishar games because there is an outside chance that I might try to make the trip to Chicago this weekend. I'm still trying to clear that with my wife, but the next 2 weekends after that, I'm already booked for other content things. One is a bunch of stuff at Gen Con, and the other one is I can't say it yet because it hasn't been announced publicly. But if you like me casting card games, you should pay attention to my Twitter.
Oh no! Yeah.
So this might be my last chance, at least for a couple of weeks, to like jam a bigger event. So I might drive down to Chicago. Plus, Flake and DM are going to be there, and it'd be nice to see them. But
I considered it. It would be wholly irresponsible. But I did. This is so Thursday night, or Thursday Armory for me. This is the first time in I can't remember that Armory just didn't fire. And I think it was just straight up A, it's summer. People are out doing shit. B, there's a ton of fatigue right now because everything is stale until Dusk Till Dawn becomes legal, which it is now. And so I think that's why it didn't fire. So I just, the only thing I did was open a case of Dusk Till Dawn, and not great. Just going to put that out there. Not great.
Yeah. I did open one, and mine, I have such mixed feelings about, because like on the one hand, if you would have told me that I was going to get, 36 Majestics, including some really good foils, like I got a foil Funeral Moon, right? And 4 legendaries, including an extended art cold foil, I would normally be like, yes, that sounds like an amazing case. I am jacked. I am excited. However, I got no Marvels, and my legends were a non-foil Leviah, a rainbow foil Brute Helm, and then a rainbow foil, and then the extended art cold foil of Diadem. So, like, yes, I got 4 legends, but like, did I?
So that beats my 27 Majestics, 3 cold foil pieces of common equipment, no Marvels, 2 legendaries, one of them being cold foil Nutsack, the other one being a rainbow foil Carapace, 1 widespread anything, and one of my Majestics was also surgical extraction. So something I literally a card I don't like that there's a card I could open in this set immediately, a majestic, and not need it. Like that felt awful. Granted, I can trade it, right? That's always a thing I can do. But I was just like, ugh, really? All right, I guess. So none of us, what we're trying to say here is neither of us were as lucky as Bryn was, like literally 20 minutes ago.
Like
My
Bryn,
God.
yeah, just prior
Bryn
to
from
us
Banish Zone,
recording
friend of
this,
ours. Yeah.
I was watching her open live on YouTube for a bit, and then I didn't get to catch the end. But when I jumped in and I told her about my case, I was like, "Hey, what'd I miss?" And then like 2 packs later, she opens a Marvel Angel, and it's gorgeous. I mean, just absolutely stunning.
It was the Klug one, right? It was that figment, wasn't it? Yeah. Rebirth?
Rebirth, yep. I was trying to think. Figment of Rebirth. So it just looked outstanding. Both sides of it just So anyway, she goes to box. Oh, even before box number 2, she opened a legend in that too. It was like the warrior gloves or whatever. So then she goes to box number 2, and I don't know, it was like 3, maybe 4 packs in. Hits another Marvel, and then because why not? And was just like hitting good pulls. And so then I left, and then I checked Twitter just before we started recording, and I see that she also opened a Rapture and just gas. Like her case was very, very good, juiced.
Yeah, absolutely juiced.
Steroids. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that one would its metals would be stripped from it if you tested it. That's for sure. Like, holy shit! I was like, okay, that's and it's this is not me complaining by any stretch of the imagination. I know that popping boxes, popping cases is just scratchers, and you do it for the juice. I mean, I do it because like right now, I think I need to fill my commons and rares. I need a total of like 6 rares. And then those are just done. And with prize packs included, I've got 3 of the legendaries. I still need 5 because there's 8 in this fucking set. But they're cheap, right? Like the legendaries in this set are affordable. And like the hard parts are going to be things like Warmonger's Diplomacy. We'll talk about that later. But it's like I would have loved a Marvel. Would have been great.
It's so funny because I really feel like what they've done with this set as far as the distribution is that they have shifted a lot of the value away from legendaries and then back into both Marvels, but also Majestics, because there are just an insane number of Majestics in this set, right? In fact, I've heard several people saying, we opened dozens and dozens of boxes and we were still short like 4 cards for a play set of everything, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that what we've been saying for a while, or at least what the community, I guess I shouldn't say what not me and you, but like the royal we, the community, has been saying for a while that, those legendaries kind of feel like an artificial barrier of entry. And so by doing it this way, now the legendaries don't like seem like that big of an issue, but now the value is probably going to be a bit more widespread. Like it wouldn't shock me long term if this set just has a lot of those like $10 to $20 Majestics and then affordable legendaries, which has not been the case historically for Flesh and Blood. Like you'll have some, but not as many as I expect this set to have, because even with the Runeblade stuff and some of the like figments and whatever that's there, but I think it's easy to forget, like my locals had a bunch of people looking for Starstruck, right? Because there's some Bravo players around here, and I still had people looking for surgical extractions, which it did feel good. I opened one. It felt good to get my assassin card. The
That's
one
true.
that we revealed.
Your preview card. Yeah, your preview card. It feels good to get your preview card. But yeah, it's it does feel similar in that way to Dynasty, but this was much, much, much more fun to open than Dynasty in almost every way. So yes, like because Dynasty, like think of the legendaries in Dynasty, right?
I'm just gonna be honest. I'm biased because I'm an assassin guy, so Dynasty felt great. Like every pack felt great. But outside of that, yes. Like as a good example, right? Like I opened one of the Marvel Hanabi blasters, and even then I was like, like I love the look of those cards, and I think thematically that knocked it out of the park. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah. And so for me, it was like, okay, this was more fun to open than Dynasty. Like there's also just like, we've seen 2, I think now the sketch cards be opened, and is it 3? They're exactly as gorgeous as we think, as we feel like they are.
At least the stuff that I've seen personally, like in my feed, 2 prisms in 1 chain. I know
Okay.
have been opened.
Yeah, those are, and like I said, those are gorgeous looking. Like they're just
They
super
would
pretty.
be if they existed. They still don't exist to me.
I do see I do see a lot of people coming in with the you could just get an artist proof, and I'm like, you're mad that you didn't open it. That's where I'm getting, like, that's the vibe I'm getting here. So, I get sour grapes. I get, like, being kicking the ground a little hard because you're sad that somebody else did it and you didn't, and try to, like, minimize it, but they're very pretty. So maybe, just maybe.
I have an artist proof Loxodon Warhammer from Mirrodin.
Mirrodin, nice. That's an uncommon, sir.
Yeah, because it was in Mirrodin.
Yeah, which is bullshit because that card in Mirrodin draft was busted.
I mean, yeah, it was, but also, like, in Mirrodin, this deserved to be an uncommon because everything in that set was busted. Like,
that's true. Yeah, we're not a Magic podcast, but
it was an uncommon. You know what I mean? Like,
Skull Clamp was in Dark Steel.
I know, but you get my point.
I do.
Artifact lands were commons.
Okay, one tangent, one Magic tangent. We're gonna do one. Yeah, Loxodon Warhammer was them not learning their fucking lesson from Armadillo Cloak. That's what Loxodon Warhammer was. They made an easier to play Armadillo Cloak
that was reusable.
That's reusable.
No color requirement.
Nope.
Reusable.
Just stupid. Like, why are we doing that?
Yeah. So anyway, I don't even know why I still have it. I don't even know why I still have it.
Because it's artist proof.
It's a signed artist proof that just hangs out.
I have a few like that I love, and I kept almost all of my Christopher Rush signed stuff. Like, I still have all that. So that, like, I get it. Like, there's some things that are just, you don't want them to go anywhere. And I still have the vast majority of my Magic cards. But there's some things I've gotten rid of over time. Glad I did in a lot of cases, like my playset of Force of Wills before they're reprinted 1,000 times, things like that. And there are some things I'm very sad I got rid of. So there's also that. But again, not a Magic podcast, but we can talk that shit if you want to. Moving on, we actually know when Worlds is. So the curse lives, ladies and gentlemen. We recorded an episode. We talked shit about not knowing where Worlds was. And then the literal day after the podcast comes out, the announcement comes out of where Worlds is.
Yep.
Someday, we're going to get, like, on a run where we don't have that problem for like a month straight. And it's going to be great. I can't wait. But that is not now by any stretch of the imagination. However, we do now know that Worlds is in Barcelona, Spain, on November 16th through 19th. It will be draft and classic constructed. No blitz this time. So just draft and classic constructed, which I find, like, interesting, but I've seen both sides on this again. Very loud and proud about either celebrating huge that Blitz is gone, or just like, ugh. I was really looking forward to playing Blitz in Worlds, but there's not a whole lot of in between. What do you think? Obviously, I had said a month ago that my time was up as far as being able to plan into a trip to Europe. So I won't be at Worlds unless somebody is just randomly going to say, hey, I'll buy you a trip to Europe. Like, oh shit, if that's the case. But I don't see that happening. But what do you think of Barcelona's location?
I mean, it's one of the places that I've wanted to visit for a while. And I know that I had said that, like, I was out, and then when they announced it, I was like, well, maybe if I can talk my wife into wanting to go. So I mentioned it to her, and she was like, I don't want to go on a trip for you, like, you to play in the event, though. Like, if we go to Spain, I want to go to Spain. And I'm like, that's fair, but I would also really like to go, and I'm just going to scrub out anyway. Like, let's be honest. So then we could do other stuff. And she's like, yeah, I don't really know if that's for me. And so I was like, all right, I guess that I'm out. And then American Express announced that they're doing this like bonus transfer thing from MX Rewards to Avio, so you get like a 30% bonus. And so now I'm like, well, maybe if I just like transfer stuff, if I can find like a cheap economy flight with points, because if it's just me and my wife isn't going, then I don't have to worry about like being comfortable on a flight. I can take whatever and just fall asleep, because I will the moment the thing's in motion anyway. Like when I flew solo to Ukraine both times for the artifact events, I was on like Wow Air back when they were still a thing.
Sure.
It was like dirt cheap, and I was just like, doesn't matter to me. Like I woke up and my legs hurt, sure, but I didn't remember any of it. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm still not 100% out, because I'm gonna see if there are any cheap like miles flights available, and then I might still try to go.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, I'm pretty sure that me going to Spain without my wife would just be straight up divorce mode. So
see, I thought that like I thought that was the case too. And I was like, well, just come with me, babe. And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, but you had fun with everybody in Ohio. Let's go run it back in Spain.
Because in Spain, yeah, because everybody from Ohio will be in.
A lot of them will.
Spain. Like, will they?
I'm sure Flake will be there.
Yes, I'm sure Matt will be there, and I'm sure the floating crew will be there.
Right.
That might be where
Jordan
it ends.
Abbey. I don't think Jordan Abbey will be there. Maybe not folks from the realm. But what we lose there, we might gain in others, because I bet like Mara goes.
Oh, Mara 100% is going.
And my wife hasn't had a chance to meet her, and there's a few other people that might go. So
yeah, I mean, like that's fair. I don't know, like it's, again, would love to go, but short of somebody planning the trip for me and just paying for it, like I just don't see that as an option. Like it's too close now. And while I could figure it out if I had to, it's much, because I've been very bad to myself, really making future Logan's life difficult every time that I open my mouth. I should probably refrain from that in most cases. I took like a vow when I started doing content creation in Flesh and Blood to never say no to a new opportunity. Well, it turns out there's a lot of fucking opportunities, and not saying no has got me stretched kind of thin, and I kind of let that bleed into other things, which, started doing Alpha Clash stuff and a few other just little irons in the fire here and there that all add up, right? And so that's where it's just like, God, I stretch myself too thin. I just, mentally stretch myself too thin. I can make a schedule work, but shit, I burning the candle at both ends, and I need to stop that shit. But again,
hear me out.
I'm listening.
Just let it consume you. Just
let it.
Just treat your candle with the same disregard that American white people do with gender reveal parties. Just burn it all down, right? Just start a fire.
Oh, why? I have so many words about two things that really upset me, and they are gender reveal parties and fucking promposals. But that is not for this podcast. That is for me going off in a different forum. But if you want to get me going, I will put the foot to the floorboard. But we should move on. I guess Worlds, we should also talk about the fact there'll be a calling, there'll be a Battle Hardened, like it's the whole enchilada as per normal.
I'll be honest, like calling is also the main reason why, like when I saw the announcement, I was interested in going to Worlds. Like part of me wants to just say like I got to play in a World Championship once, so there's the temptation to maybe like buy a PTI and actually compete in Worlds. But even just going for a limited calling is very enticing for me. I am a huge fan of limited, and I really want to jam that. So
Yeah, understandable. And I mean, trust me, I looked at flights as soon as the announcement went up. I even posted flights in the Iowa Discord, like links to flights in the Iowa Discord that I went, oh shit, that's reasonable. So it's not like I didn't try. Like I wasn't curious. It's not like it didn't push the button. It 100% slammed its hand on the FOMO button. Because you're announcing a place that I've also always wanted to go. Like, I want to fucking eat paella in Barcelona. I would love that shit. I'm a food nerd. I'm not fat on accident, for God's sakes. So it's like, I would love to go to Spain and do that. Right.
I mean, you also want to go to Spain with me, because most people go to Spain to like run with the bulls, but you want to run with the bullshit. You know,
I do want to run with the bullshit. Yeah, absolutely. I get it. I want to have the runs with Derek's bullshit. You see what I did there? You see what you've made me become, you piece of fucking shit. I don't like this. I want it to go away. Moving on. You're lucky I love you, you son of a bitch. But we also just had Battle Hardened Cincy this past weekend, which looked to be a super fun event. I was on a 3-day golf trip, so that's why I wasn't in Cincy, and I played 54 holes of golf, 18 of which were on a PGA course. I hurt everywhere. I have muscles aching that I forgot about. It turns out, and for people that are not golfers, I get it. I don't like that I'm a golfer, but there are things that we all enjoy that we hate. You know, that we hate that we enjoy. I hate that I enjoy Charmer. Here we are. But so the PGA event was the weekend before. So it's 1 week out from a PGA Tour event. And so when there are tour events, they grow the roughs long on purpose to make the course not artificially, but to make the course more difficult for the event. But they hadn't cut the roughs. So if you were not in the fairway, it was basically take a weed whacker. That's the only thing that's going to get you out. And so he's swinging as hard as humanly possible just to squibble a ball out of this 12-inch tall grass every time. It's like, oh, this is terrifying.
No, have they always done that for the PGA, or is this just like a new thing since the whole Saudi merger?
No, this is something that, so on your static courses for the PGA that are not public, the roughs are always like that. Like, that's just the way it is, because they're always bred to that degree of difficulty. Deer Run is a public course. It is not private. So while a round of golf is ultra expensive, they do want it to be enjoyable. And it is gorgeous. I mean, white sand traps, and everything is great.
I just didn't know, like I said, if that was something like post Saudi buyout / merger, because it would make sense to have long roughs there because the Saudis are known for cutting things. So getting into that grass area.
This got dark. This got real dark real fast. It's not like the grasses are reporters, for God's sakes. Yeah, that's too soon. That one didn't feel good. But
why would you do that, Logan? I was making a nice.
You were not. You 100% weren't. That is not what you were doing. Don't even try. Nope. I'm going to wind up on a fucking CIA watch list doing this show. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, too late. You're associated with me. Did I ever tell you
already on one.
How I ended up on a list?
Oh, we both have a story then. That's great.
For card games, though? Like mine is...
Oh, mine wasn't.
Content creation for card games.
Mine was not. Mine, nope.
For a bit, I had to Google how to tie a noose, among other things that had to do with like Russian, like angry Russians. Yeah,
I do remember this. Okay,
yeah.
Okay, that was, yeah, that's a story. I was on 2 different watch lists, and one I won't talk about on the podcast. Not that it's anything it's nothing horrible, but it's I don't know if I should talk about that on wax type of thing. And the other one was just being in a number of activist groups in college. That just does it.
But before you talk about it, you better call Saul to see if it's okay.
Pretty much. So Saul, are you there?
Sure. I just realized Jordan is your Saul.
Jordan is my Saul. Yes, that is. Well, I have several Sauls.
Sure.
Yeah, but Jordan is one of them for sure. But yeah, it was so Battle Hardened Cincinnati top 8 was absolutely stacked. We had Rhea Adams winning on Icelander over Nate Snyder on Lexi, 0 AB Lexi. So the Icelander kind of got to just do whatever it wanted to a degree. But yeah, the top 8 was 2 Briar, Yuanji Lee, and Holden Isaacs. 1 Dromai. I'm not even going to fucking do it. 1 Bravo on Ben Hannon, 1 Uzuri, obviously Sam Dando for some reason. It's just what he does. And 1 Levia. Pat Eschke trying to get the girl in there real fast. But interesting, I think that Rhea, there's only 2 Icelanders in the entire field.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Icelander was such a good medical, with just understanding that, again, like I said, week 1's aggressive.
Yeah.
And taking a hero that punishes that aggression, great choice.
Listen, I don't want to toot our own horn here, but you and I had talked about things that we might see in some of these events. And as I look at this, I see the 1 Dromai that we had talked about. I see you and I both liked Icelander because of the potential aggressive meta. And one Bravo made the top 8, 1 Uzuri, and I was very big on them. And
Lexi?
I had said I thought Lexi would probably still win or had one of the good chances, and that at least made it to the finals. So when I'm looking at this,
and 1 Levia, you said Levia will probably there'll be probably a Levia that sneaks through.
When I look at this, I think we did a good job.
Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job.
Maybe one of these days I'll give that whole casting analysis thing a shot. Maybe I know a little.
Maybe you know what you're talking about. Maybe you can be good at that. Have you ever considered doing that as sort of a pseudo career? Just like a part-time contractor type gig. Have you ever considered that?
I'm gonna start looking into it.
You really should.
Yeah.
2024 is gonna be the year for Charmer. Let me tell you, he's gonna be all over the place. He's gonna be on billboards. He'll be on ESPN, the Ocho, but still ESPN. There was also the Monarch sealed PTI event, so sealed top 8 draft, also stacked. This one had Mara Ferris again. So, Mara, I'm going to talk directly to you. I adore you. You're one of my favorite humans. But me being able to bet on you to make top 8 and not close is just making me infinite money. So, thank you very much for just never being able to close one of these events. I appreciate it. So, Mara, Matt DeMarco, of all people, noted author.
I was gonna say, isn't that the author of The Stoic?
It is. Yeah, noted author, influencer.
Wasn't one of the finalists some real estate mogul, if I remember right?
Same guy.
Oh, same guy. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, real estate mogul, stand-up comedian, broadcaster, podcaster, influencer. I mean, he's all the things. One of the most. I mean, one of the most famous people I've ever met.
I just remembered where I know him from. He is the really famous Ass Man.
He is he is the very famous Ass Man.
Yeah, okay.
He's also well known for his hot tub streams. I don't know if you knew that. And he's also, and again, I don't think he talks about this enough, but he's the guy that invented the Nike swoosh. Did you know that?
I did not know. This is astounding stuff.
He went to check a box on an unemployment application, and it just was this yeah, kind of a kind of a swooping check mark. He went, you know what? I can probably sell this. And he tore that unemployment application up in front of the person, threw it in their face and said, I'm rich. And then left and immediately sold that to Nike. So, and that's how he got into real estate.
Yeah, the person that he threw the paper at, just so you folks know at home, when he said, like, I can sell this and get rich, that person didn't believe in Matt DeMarco. And he said, you think you can sell that? Just do it. And he proved it.
He proved it. You know what? I think that Flake
Just
should really
do
have
it.
this guy on his show. I think he'd be a great guest on Flake's show.
Oh, yeah. Flake should have him on Instant Speed.
Yeah, he'd be awesome as a guest on Instant Speed. Like, Flake really should pull the trigger. I don't think he fits on this show very well.
No,
I'm just a little too uptight, a little too serious.
Highbrow, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't think that he would.
Matt DeMarco, there's that space there. That's basically three names, and the only people who have three names are either
serial killers,
real estate titans, or I was actually not going to say serial killers. I was going to say
presidential assassins.
Yes.
Yeah,
assassins is three names. Serial killers is usually two, with the exception of Gacy. But who's to say he wasn't a hired assassin?
That's true. But
it's normally like Charles Manson, Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer. But then when you go to your assassins, it's Lee Harvey Oswald with a D. Okay, not related to me.
John Wilkes Booth. Yeah, I get
James
it.
Earl Ray.
James Earl Ray. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But well, I guess he wasn't president. RFK wasn't president when he was assassinated. So.
Well, depending on who you listen to now, he might still be alive and be president right now.
Yeah, he might be. I don't know. Like I can't keep track. It's too much anymore. But
so anyway, Monarch Draft sealed PTI event.
Michael Hamilton was also in there, as well as eventual winner Ashley Briggs. So congrats, Ashley, on taking that down and earning that gold foil in PTI. I mean, huge performance. To come out of that type of top 8 draft with a W is quite an accomplishment, to be honest. And so hats off if I was wearing one right now, which I'm not, but if I were, I'd be tipping a cap. The individual cards, we had some interesting things happen. I mean, there is some, I would say that Dusk Till Dawn wasn't splashy in this event, but it was impactful in this event. So the biggest impact card, and like there were several cards that were being played. So Mara was just playing Redline Dromai and
Empress Dromai.
Sure. And was playing 2 Flicker Trick and 3 Lost in Thought in the deck, which, okay, I see you. That can make some sense, I think, in Dromai specifically. So, you had a little bit of spice there. Obviously, the Briar lists were both playing the Briar specialization because
it's good.
I mean, yeah, it's why wouldn't you, I guess? I believe that both also had Dietic Carapace for the sideboard as their AB piece.
Yep.
And I believe that the Mischievous Meeps was making an impact in the Yuanji list and in Holden Isaac's list, which is quite a bit different. Playing Immovables and Arcanic Crackles, because it's cash-in, right? And was playing 2 copies of Censor. So there's a little bit in there too. I think that's quite, quite entertaining. But the real push through, and almost the entire Leviathan list, I mean, just fuck it. Just look that one up because it's listing all of the cards from this set that were in that would take a while. But the biggest impact, I feel like, was a lot of these decks were playing 3 copies of Warmonger's Diplomacy. Something we also talked about that we thought, this might have an impact more than we think because of being able to cut turns in half.
Yeah.
As a blue block 3 that costs 0.
Yeah, I expected this to make a bit of a splash potentially in some of the Leviathan lists where like, for example, if you were already running Titanium Bauble, this is just a
Better
better
Titanium
bauble,
Bubble.
right?
But Icelander
Yeah,
is
so Icelander being able to play this as an instant, because my biggest criticism of it was, in fact, that it doesn't have go again. It is your action. That's not to say that it is bad necessarily, right? Just like it's not an auto like slam play or whatever. However, again, you go to Icelander and suddenly it's a whole lot more attractive.
Yeah, and we really didn't think we talked through Icelander just because of its stopping power of keeping these aggro decks kind of in check through the frost spells, right? Through
Right.
the ability to slow down these decks, but we really didn't stop and think about this coming out of Icelander as a sort of a go fuck yourself card. As soon as, especially into like a Briar or anything that has a triggered ability that is going to go on a layer at the beginning of a turn before anything else happens, and you warmonger you warmonger in response, it's like that's brutal.
So the other one, now granted we didn't end up seeing a lot of them, but the other thought I had about this card, or the other place where this stands out, is Warriors, right? Bolton, I know some folks are trying to give him another go. Dorinthia also got some tools. Dorinthia especially, right? Like if you're trying to do that non-attack into a weapon swing thing, like this is not good.
No, it shuts you down. And that's real rough. So yeah, like I look at this and I'm just like, that makes almost way too much sense. Just as a do it all card in this list, and you know, it's still like it's still Icelander, right? Like there isn't much change here. It's just still Icelander, but
I
that
think that,
card's presence is so good.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think the thing that really like puts us over the edge, if I'm being honest, is the block 3, because Icelander already, by like the nature of the ice cards, has to run a fair number of the block 2 stuff, and this being another potential tool, but also still allowing you to kind of shore up some of those defenses, is also a relatively big deal. And it has spiked quite a bit in price as a result.
$30.
Yeah, they're like $30 right now, but
I mean, those will come down.
Yeah, I expect them to come down, but like I said, I also feel like this is a set where, again, we're going to see a lot of the value, I think, kind of trickle to the Majestics a bit more than we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's like makes playing things like playing a full set of Blizzard even more comfortable in the deck, because you do have some extra blocks sitting in there. And as somebody like that will probably try to play Briar until Briar's not playable and then pivot, it's like, this looks like a nightmare to play against. It just looks, this would be a very difficult deck to manage without having some kind of larger pressure, right? It's just, I think this is a great list. I think this is again a great meta choice, and I don't know what really is going to exist to kind of put that pressure on Icelander now that they have, that Icelander has all these tools. Just unsure. I also love the fact that Sam Dando just went back to the well. I mean, just basically ran it back. He's playing the 2 copies of Warmonger's Diplomacy, and I think that was really the biggest change in the deck. So,
yeah. I don't remember. Did he add in the hurls like some of the other folks have?
Yes.
Because I feel like that's at least one of the other deviations from the very first time we saw his list in Chicago. But that's pretty standard with Uzuri now. So, like, I'm not surprised. But I thought I remembered when I was watching some of the stuff that he had the hurls in. So,
yeah. So that's, like I said, I think that this was one of those, again, taking a list that is an aggro list that's good into aggro is what Sam's doing.
yep.
And brilliant. Good call. Did it in the first event for Outsiders. Did it here again.
Yep.
Smart. Like, just great call.
Listened to our podcast.
Maybe.
When
I
we
don't
said,
know.
you know, Missouri, Bravo, Icelander.
Does anybody still listen to this show? I mean, when I looked at
my mom listens to it.
Does she?
Yeah, I mean, she's dead, so she doesn't have much else to do. But
yeah, I guess she's bored. But I mean, if I was dead, I'd listen to us too. But I think we only had like 550 listens this past week or something. Which, well, okay. But either way, I don't think that, again, I don't feel like. So I wrote in the show notes because I don't know why I wrote this, but the question I wrote is with Warmonger's diplomacy, is it a blip or is it a staple? And I think it's a combination of both at this point. I think that in this event, because of the field, it had an outsized impact. However, I would also expect to see it in lists going forward on a pretty regular basis. So that's kind of how I feel about the card. So like when you talk about it being a $30 card, it kind of reminds me of when This Rounds on Me was like $20, $25. Because while not a staple, it had an outsized impact in what it did.
You know what it
at its
reminds
rate.
me of? Do you remember when Snag was like 20 to 30
Oh my
bucks?
God. Yes, I do. Oh,
I think for those who
it's
didn't
better
play
than
back then,
Snag.
like, well, sure, but I just like during the height of Seeds chain dominance, Snag from Crucible jumped in price because it was seen by many as like the only real tech answer to Seeds chain. And I mean, there was some merit to it depending on timing, but it wasn't as a polarizing of a flip as I think people were making it out to be at the time. But man, I had never in Flesh and Blood seen a card go from like nobody cared about it to $30 as fast as I saw Snag during that time. Like, it was wild.
Yeah, it was super weird. And I remember when that was happening was simultaneously chain pivoting to playing Flock of the Featherwalkers.
Yep.
In their list, which just made it like, I don't give a shit about your Snag. Like, I just don't care. So I was like playing against like decks with Snag after we playing like kind of the Flock chain lists. It was just felt like, wait a second. This is easy. I don't know what this card is actually supposed to do against this deck. Like, it doesn't feel like anything. But what people should have been playing was, basically what Tyler Horspool played in Vegas. Like, that's what they should have been doing to just set chain on fire. For anybody that wants to kind of take a trip back in time, go look at the first Calling Vegas that happened and look at the two deck lists in the finals, one being a Prism that ended up winning and the other one being a chain that they met in the finals. And you'll see how the Prism, by reading the cards, you'll probably be like, oh, that's what the Prism did. Because if I remember right, he played Prism 80% of his rounds, or he played against chain like 80% of his rounds.
Yeah, I mean, it was
dummied them.
It was a very large percentage of what he played against. And it's so funny too, because I remember when that happened and there was a lot of community reaction after the fact that was basically saying like, chain's been solved because Tyler won the event. Right. And the problem is that Tyler made a great meta call, and I don't want to take anything away from him. He's a great player. He played very well. But he also won the matchup lottery part as well, because what we found in the metas after that, or in the same meta really, but in the events after that, is that it was a deck that struggled into the non-chain stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of overreaction at that time.
Yep. It was a meta call for sure.
Yeah.
And he won the meta lottery and took down the event. So yeah, your solution for chain was tilt your deck entirely in this direction and Hope you don't play more than 2 other. That's it. That was the solution. So if anybody wants to go look at, I mean, I encourage you to go take a look at like the history behind that first calling in Las Vegas, because it is super interesting. The before and after, the before, during, and after, honestly, of how all of that shook out. I think it was super interesting. Moving on, we did get a look at the August Armory Kit. So your non-stained glass, because it has the stained glass playmat. I think they will keep doing that, where they always have the 2 playmats, one being a set playmat and the other one being an art playmat. I think that cycle is going to kind of keep going, or at least it looks like it will for a while. But this one's non-stained glass playmat is Secum, Archangel of Ravages. It's dope. I mean, it's a cop, but it's dope. So I really do think, I really do like that one. It's not Requiem cool, but it's nice looking.
It's pretty good
also,
looking.
It's pretty good looking. The rainbow foil is Hungering Demigon, which, again, as an extended art rainbow foil, really, I mean, it's really hard to choose an art that wouldn't be bad, and that would be bad in that treatment from this set. So Hungering Demigon is a perfectly reasonable choice. And then the cold foil is one of my favorites, Hellhammer, because Hellhammer's just a Spectra killer, and I find that interesting.
Isn't Hellhammer Tommy's nickname?
One of many, yes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He has several. The Jersey Gigolo. There's a Yo-Yo Ma reference. I can't remember how that actually worked. Tommy Fresh, Tommy Dong. There's just there's a plethora of nicknames for Sir Tommy. So who is celebrating his 100th episode, by the way. If you haven't gone and listened to the 100th episode of Fresh and Buds, you probably should. It had everybody's favorite Blitz simp, Mo Bogsley, on there. And then also there was a roast video that was put together by Greg, Darth Prentice, friend of our show, and also Gary, Mr. Viz, the Viscerai pillow guy. And it is one of the funniest things I've watched in Flesh and Blood by far.
It is really good. Yeah,
it's really good. So please, if you get a minute, hop over to the Fresh and Buds YouTube channel and take a look at that. Both of us, well, no, I'm on there, and then Tannen's on there. So at least I'm on the roast video. I was actually picked. My section was chosen to anchor it, which I was like, wow, that's a lot, but I appreciate it. So please, yeah, if you want to just laugh your ass off, it's quite funny, especially if you've ever listened to Fresh and Buds. It's quite charming, and I know that it really warmed Tommy's heart. He was very taken aback by the gesture. It was really cool. I guess I'm moving on again. I don't have a whole lot to say else to say here. How about you?
No, we just
not a thing.
Ready to go.
Just keep going, I guess.
I mean, I can't talk about the Tommy video because I wasn't on it.
Yeah, I can't believe he didn't invite you. Like, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Makes sense if you watch a show.
I don't watch
well.
his show. Yeah, okay.
Every episode he says that he's going to make time for me, and then the show runs out of time before I get to be on it.
It's the Conan O'Brien treatment.
Yes.
Apologies to Matt Damon or whoever it is. No, it's not Matt Damon. It was an apology. I can't remember who it was, but that was one of my favorite bits in the Conan O'Brien show. At any rate, we do have the Salt Lake City Brawl weekend coming up in August 4th through 6th. So Blitz Super Armory, Friday night at Kayfabe Cards in Salt Lake City, followed by a Classic Constructed 5K on Saturday and a Blitz Battle Hardened on Sunday. There's a Speakeasy after party on Saturday night. Listen, there's no booze allowed in Utah, right? Can somebody like confirm or deny that? I'm not sure if it's allowed, if you're allowed to actually party there. I always thought that Utah was just a entire state that was based on the movie Footloose. So I'm actually just not sure if that's a thing or not. But if somebody could please tell me, they may have to go drive across state lines to have that speakeasy party. I'm not sure. Or treat it like a legit old speakeasy and import booze from somewhere else entirely and have it in an underground location. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Sadly, we will not be there, but we'll always be there in spirit. Wherever the realm is, we are there in spirit. And by spirit, we mean Flake.
I was telling Flake this is going to be very sad for me because it's the first like realm event that I'm missing and that I'm also not doing with him.
Yep.
You know,
it's my first miss too since the very, very, very first one. None of us were at. It was held, I believe, in 2021. 2022, had to be 2022, early 2022, in a blizzard with very few people attending. Abby and Ben Mapes actually cast that event, and again, just kind of was a confluence of just nothing worked because of the weather and the timing, and it was while I was in Arizona, so I wasn't there, but I have not missed one since, and so this is the first one I'm missing since then. And I don't like that I'm missing it, but on the same token, back to that whole stretching yourself too thin thing. This is one where I had to make a choice, right? Rather than try to be two places at once. And so I did. One of the places that we will be at though is the Realm 20K Invitational weekend in December. That's December 1st through 3rd. Now, I want to point out, because I'm a fucking idiot, I'm going to do that weekend in Columbus, and the next weekend I'm going to be in Vegas for the NBA midseason tournament. Because for some unfucking known reason, two of my best friends in the world have the same birthday. They have the exact same birthday. And so one of them is like, hey, our birthday, the NBA midseason tournament is taking place in Vegas. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then they had this whole entire conversation about we should go, blah, 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 blah. And then one of them bought tickets. And so I'm reading through the conversation. I'm like, what the fuck? Ah, God damn it. Well, I guess I'm going to Vegas. Never mind. Fuck me. So I'll be Columbus, home for a couple of days, Vegas, home for a couple of days, wife's birthday, doing other things, Christmas. So that's my December, everybody, in case you're wondering if I'll be alive. But luckily that all starts in Columbus for me. So I will be there. The 20K Invitational starts on Friday with a 5K brawl on Saturday, minimum 5K brawl on Saturday, and a minimum 2K brawl on Sunday that will qualify, both of those looking to qualify for the 2024 Invitational, which rumor has it, and by rumor I mean the people at the Realm, but rumor has it will be a 50K because 20K was not enough of the Ks to give away. They needed to add more Ks. So rather than 20Ks, 50Ks. And if you want a chance at 50Ks, you should probably show up to the 20K to get a jump start on those 50Ks, because I think there's going to be a decent number of people shooting to qualify for that one. Just a thought. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there won't be. Don't think I'm wrong though.
I might even try to qualify.
How are you going to do that while casting?
I'm just going to be fully transparent, gang. 50Ks is more than what I'm making casting by a long shot.
Facts. Yeah.
So maybe I want to qualify. I mean, I want to cast, but
yeah, you want to cast.
I'm just saying that's a lot of Ks.
It's a number of Ks, but that's, I mean, and that weekend there's going to be so much more going on. It's going to feel like a celebration of card gaming in general. And so if you're going to hold, worlds aside, Nats aside, if you're budgeting your time for an event to be at, this needs to be very high on your list, if not the first thing on your list. Because the number of people who are putting a lot of energy and a lot of time equity and a lot of themselves into making this event something that is very special and that is very unique is the type of people you want to be around in the first place. So
also, if the people are not a selling point for you, I will remind you that this past year, the community had quite a few complaints about what they described as like a long lull or what felt like dead time, because basically we had World's End and then the competitive stuff really didn't kick off again until February of the next year, right? Because there's the holidays that people take a lot of time off for. LSS also was using that time to like recharge and reinvigorate and kind of reevaluate how they wanted to approach competitive. But there was a big just kind of like space after Worlds before the next year. There was a lot of complaints about that. So turns out this event is after Worlds. And so this is honestly, until the holidays are over, like your last real shot at a good competitive Flesh and Blood event anyway. So like, even if for whatever reason you're a sociopath and you don't like all the cool people that are going to show up or any of the really awesome events that they are planning, and I'm not even just talking about the games, I mean like the cosplay stuff, you name it, there's also just nothing else to do on the calendar for that point in the year, really, right? So show up.
Yeah, do the thing. I would recommend,
you know what,
doing the thing.
Just do it.
That's another one that Matt DeMarco came up with. That was also his. When he presented the swoosh to Nike, they were just like, I don't know about this. Look, just do it. And
yeah,
so
he was inspired by the guy who didn't believe in him when he threw it at the guy's face, and he's like, if you think you can do it, just do it. And so then he carried that on. See, that's why I told that part of the story earlier. But
yeah, that's a great connector.
Okay, it swooshed over your head.
Okay. I was going to compliment you and say this is why you're a true professional, but I rescind all desire to give you that compliment. That was fucking atrocious, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
That's fair.
No shame though. I'm well aware of that. So I'm
no. I mean, I will use puppets through the drive-through just to embarrass my wife and kids. So,
oh my god, I can't.
Did I not tell you about that?
No.
Oh yeah, we went through a drive-through. And I was talking to Monroe in the back seat, and he had an Elmo puppet in the car. So I was messing around with that. And of course, my wife did what you're not supposed to do. And she was like, hey, stop that. I'm pulling up to the window to get our food. No. And I took that as, hey, annoy the drive-through people with this puppet. And so I was asking for our food in Elmo's voice, and that tickles, and the whole nine. And she was like, oh my god, stop, getting more embarrassed, which I took naturally, like any good husband would, as continue doing this is a riot. I speak the language, I know what she really means. And
that's not how any of this works. I am in pain, like, ouch.
I can't kiss your boo-boo.
Oh my god, no. I can't say too much, because the first time I ever had a gun pulled on me was because a police officer thought I had a severed head in my trunk, because I always rode around with a mannequin head for a wide variety of reasons. The mannequin head still exists. It's still in my house. It wears and there's too many stories that are linked together with all these, but suffice to say, the mannequin head is still in my house in a place of prominence, wearing something that is, one might say, a bit of an eBay fortune if I ever decided to get rid of it. So if anybody ever wants that story, hit me up. I'm more than happy to give you the history of the mannequin head and how it came to be sitting on a bookcase in a place of respect and reverence in my house. But I've had that mannequin head now for 26 years. It's been a minute. So that's there's a lot of mannequin head stories, and they're all kind of great. But for listener questions this week, we had none. Y'all are slacking. You know what happens when you slack and you don't give us listener questions? The fapping is shorter.
Oh, you know what else happens? I point out that your show notes say episode 84, and I would have changed it myself if I had the ability to do so.
Yeah, I don't want to give you right access to the show notes for reasons.
Yeah.
There. That better for you? Are you feeling okay now?
I don't know why that would be, but
I'm sure you don't. I'm sure you have no idea why I don't want you to have access to editing the show notes. Because I'm much like Ron Burgundy, and sometimes I just read the show notes and don't actually understand what I'm reading, and I'm just parroting the words on them. And so I'd be like, yeah, go fuck yourself, Flesh and Blood. Like, that's... And I don't want it... Well, okay. Sometimes I do want to do that. But I don't think you putting in verbiage to the show notes would behoove us in any way. Let's put it that way. That's my personal opinion.
I don't know. Let me ask the audience a question, since they didn't send us any questions.
They didn't want us. They don't answer. Yeah.
This is my question to the audience. Would you like me to write things for Logan to read?
Oh my God. I already know the answer to this.
I'm just saying, let us know. Send an email.
Yeah, sure.
Put it in the Discord,
you know
and the app feedback.
Absolutely.
1000%. At FleshPod. Send us smoke signals, Skywrite.
Whatever you need to do.
Whatever you need to do, just let us know.
Yeah, that's great. Those are all things that we can do. You can. Oh my God. You know,
I missed you.
I've missed you too. That week was one of the. There's always this level of respite that I get after each episode where I don't talk to Charmer. And then after like a few days of not talking to Charmer, I'm like, man, I kind of do miss that guy. Mm-hmm. And then he makes sure to remind me why I shouldn't fucking miss him every single week. And yet, by Thursday, I'm like, man, I really miss Charmer right now. It's like this. It's like I'm willingly submitting to my own Stockholm syndrome.
No, you know what it is? I am the McRib of Friends. When you have me, you're like, oh, why did I ever think this was a good idea? And then enough time goes by, and you're like, man, I really miss that. I could go for a Mick Charmer, like.
Oh. Much like the McRib, you have no bones.
Yeah. I'm not even real.
You're not even real. It's not even real meat.
It's like the McRib.
We're going to get sued for that one. Shit. But that's the, no, you're right. You are the McRib of friendship. Like, that's all there is to it. Like, you can't believe you fucking Smuckers piece of shit. But I think that's our show for this week. I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't. But I am proud to say we did at least eclipse the hour mark, even with such a short show. We tried hard. Both teams played hard. Yeah.
I'm just glad we came in with W.
This episode was definitely an episode of our episodes.
I think this has got to be like bottom 20. Not counting like the first 10, because it took a little bit of time for Jordan, Abby, and I to get our footing in the initial run. And then like the arc, like the sheep, the curve of getting better, like from dog shit to actually reasonable to kind of good at this, was super steep. Like, we have super sharp uptick. And then I think we held a great plateau towards a very good top end for a while.
Uptick. Let me tell you something, buddy. When your value is 0, all your growth is exponential.
Fucking A, it is.
I know this.
He knows this.
Resident of rock bottom, okay?
A very warm resident of rock bottom, if I do recall, because currently you don't have air conditioning.
Yeah, born and raised.
Well, at least you're consistent. It's important. Yeah. I mean, I'm here for you, buddy. Anything you need outside of, I can't fix an air conditioner. Right. I can't fix an air conditioner. I know a guy, but it's not in Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna get out of here. I think that's a great idea. So yeah, the plug our stuff, plug patrons. I have that written out there as plug patrons, and I realize now that that's probably just the wrong thing to write because it sounds like I'm shooting them. But you can always
you
find
went with
us.
that. Okay.
Oh wow. Oh boy. They might pay extra for the other one. Just maybe I throw that out there.
Plug patrons, peg fappers. Got it.
You can't do that. Okay, so you can find us at FleshPod being canceled on Twitter. You can also email us at fleshandpod@gmail.com. Send any questions or complaints, but all complaints will go to Flesh and Pod Legal, which is a subsidiary of Black Hole Legal, which is still the trash can next to Jordan Kennedy's desk. You can also find us in our Discord. Links in the show notes,
where you can let us know whether or not you want Logan to read things that I write.
God damn it! I don't like any of this. Then I can feel myself deflate on the inside. I can feel myself resigning myself. I'm resigning to the fact that this is going to be a thing.
I am just trying to let you live your Vincent dream by
just
making
the pain.
You feel pain.
You're right. You're very, very, very right. Let's give a shout out to our patrons before you end up.
Yeah, we should do that.
We're going to start with our executive producers, who are C-Dubs, Josh Levy, Lance Goodthrust, Matt Two Tokes, Papa Mike. Oh no, Papa Mike's an executive. What did I do here?
You started. You just said that these are our executive
producers. Yeah, executive peggers. You're right. Papa Mike, Alex, Ed, Philip, Rich, Taylor, and Trevor. Our associate producers, because apparently I forgot to turn that filter on, are Andy, Kenny, and May. If you're interested in becoming a patron of Flesh and Pod, the link will be in the show notes, but it's also just patreon.com/fleshandpod. There are, I'm going to tell you the number of tiers there are. There are 6. There are 6 tiers to choose from currently. If you have an idea for a tier that you'd like to belong to, let me know. I'll add it.
We need to either add a tier or remove one, because I have this like weird complex where things need to be in prime numbers. So
really,
I actually do. I have TV volume has to be on prime numbers. Like when I make lists, they have to be in prime numbers. In fact, it was such a problem back when I was coding before I was the team lead. I would like write my lines of code, and sometimes I'd put in like extra comments just so that the coding lines hit a prime number. Like I have an issue.
Yes, you do.
So for the 7th tier, what I propose is, like once every quarter, maybe 6 months, I don't know, depends on the volume we get. You too can write something Logan has to read.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Sure.
The reason I'm enjoying this bit so much is because I can't read. So,
I have a lot of friends that can't read. For some reason, it's like they're drawn to me. But where can they find you, Charmer?
The local library, trying to get good.
Get good.
Learning how to read stuff. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube as just Charmer. That's Charm 3R. And then on Twitter and pretty much every other social media site, I am just that Charmer, with the exception of Blue Sky. Once again, thank you, Bryn. Shout out to you for the invite. I'm charmer.com there, because you can like verify yourself if you own your domain
Your doname? Sure.
Yeah, your doname. Yeah. That thing. I told you I can't read. I don't know why this is a shot.
You can't talk either, apparently. Really rough on the casting gigs there that you're aspiring towards.
Good.
At anything. Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all over the place. I'm definitely in our Discord, so you should say hello there, especially in the Pickle Posse area.
Yeah,
also,
they sure are.
If you want to continue listening to me, I'm on this little podcast called The Clash Ground, where we talk about Alpha Clash. I also do a Star Wars one called Wampa Radio, which is kind of fantastic, but I'm everywhere, basically.
Yeah.
Even right now.
He's in the house. Yes, and you can find me on you can find me on Twitter at Logan Peterson. You can find me on Discord in our Discord server, as well as many other Discord servers. You can find me on Threads at Logan Peterson 80. Even though I don't really use it at this point, I don't know. I can only do so many things. But Discord's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. If you want to get a hold of me directly, just Discord or Twitter. Either one's fine. I don't think I have anything else. I think I'm good. How about you?
I'm not that, but
Fair enough.
you know what though? I'm also not bad.
You know what? That's a vast improvement.
This is a therapeutic show for me.
You know, there are more than one person that say that. So maybe I should take solace in the fact that at the end of the day, there is a sense of value in this show that is keeping you from becoming something that we don't want you to be, whether that be a sociopathic serial killer or a corpse. I'm just happy that we are able to make sure that you have some therapy in your life.
All right, bye.
Bye. See you next week.